Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And in today's video, I'm going to be covering a PvP Season of Discovery level 25 PvP tier list. I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on which specializations are looking like they're going to be the best and strongest for the release of this new game mode. I am really excited to see what is possible with all of these really wacky and powerful spells that are coming to the classes and are going to be available, and how each level stage has different evolutions in terms of power and potential for the classes, whether it be the itemization on the gear or the available talents and the way different builds are going to be stretched. And honestly, I'm really excited. This is like one of the biggest classic things that I am really excited for. I love coming up with new builds and piecing these things together. I've been doing this for years, and I'm hoping that I can help you guys out making your decision when it comes to this moving forward. So we've got Druid as the first class. You've got Bear Druid, you've got Cat Druid, you've got Balance Druid, and you've got Resto Druid. And some really important things to take into account with this is that you've got talents that increase your movement speed while outside. So if you're wanting to focus on Ashen Veil PvP or flag carrying in Warsong Gulch, which is going to be the main two PvP modes available, you're going to be one of the most agile classes, period. And I think that that talent is likely going to be kind of like a go-to talent for almost any spec of Druid, whether you're wanting to DPS as Balance, Feral, Resto, or Bear. I think that added movement speed outside is going to give you a huge advantage over the limited mobility of a lot of other classes. And some of the runes that are coming through are things like Life Bloom. Now, it really depends on what iteration of Life Bloom is going to be implemented here. If it is the Burning Crusade power level of Life Bloom, Resto Druid could be the, Druid in general, honestly, like any spec of Druid with Life Bloom, Balance Druid, or Resto Druid, mostly likely, depending on how it scales with other stats, if they're going to implement scaling with agility or not. I could see Druid being just a remarkable class if Life Bloom has the same type of scaling tech that it did in TBC. It's really durable with survival of the fittest, and you're also going to be the only Wind Fury totem available at this level, unlike Shaman. So depending on what you're wanting to do, right, this tier list is a little bit more focused towards solo PvP, kind of like, hey, you're not really intending on doing pre-made Warsong Gulch or something like that, and you're just adventuring in Ashen Veil, you're looking for 1v1s. I think it's going to be really good in that. And if you're also looking for team play, like pre-made Warsong Gulches, having, Wind Fury for your group, Wind Fury buffing up warriors, Wind Fury buffing up rogues, like that could be really nasty. I feel like at level 25, you're probably going to want like a Bear Druid that's got Wind Fury buff rolling out onto its allies, so you've got a great flag carrier and you've got this great flex kind of group buff if you're looking for that pre-made play style. So overall, I'm really impressed with it. I think that Resto Druid, although an original classic at this level bracket, might have been considered weak. I think with Life Bloom and Wild Growth, the AoE healing potential and the instant healing potential and the durability of Bear Form and the mobility that this class has in general across the board is looking remarkable. If you're looking to focus more on balance, Star Surge is likely going to be a lot of heavy single target damage. You've got great mobility to move around and to escape melee attackers, but the main problem is that you have to choose between Life Bloom and Star Surge. Like Life Bloom is, if it ends up being really powerful even for balance, it's going to be tough to squeeze that against Star Surge, like your main attacks. I'm kind of leaning towards you're probably going to be more of a Feral Druid or a Bear Druid at this level bracket. But I'm going to do my best to try and make Balance Druid work with it when it comes out, even though I don't think that. I think that Druid at this bracket, if you're looking for solo experience or you're looking for Warsong experience, I'm actually putting it on S tier. I think it's going to be mandatory in pre-mades. I think that the ability to go into stealth, the added mobility outside in world PvP is great. And just shapeshifting in general is really powerful. You have good ways of instant dotting classes. I think Life Bloom is going to be one of the most powerful runes in terms of your personal support and survivability. I really think the Druid's going to be quite remarkable. Hunter really depends on what build you're going for. I think most people consider at this level bracket, from my research, is going to be Marksman. Just the aim shot damage is really powerful. You just absolutely wreck any sort of clothy. You're going to run them over and just destroy them. And the added fact that you can start from range is going to be a huge benefit there over something unlike Survival or this melee Hunter that's looking like it could possibly pop up. I think that Beast Mastery likely is going to get stronger later on as you're able to get more of your talents available deeper into the tree. So I'm personally, if I was going to go after Hunter, would likely go for Marksman as like the safe pick, but Survival could randomly be really sleeper depending on the tuning that they do for the runes. If they decide to say, the meme specs are going to be the god specs this time around, and they overbuff those runes for those different types of builds, then even something like Balance Druid might end up being good. But you got other specs I think you can rely on for Druid, so don't worry too much about that. But I could see Survival randomly working up to be a good height. Problem is that you don't have great mobility compared, although basically no melee DPS have great mobility. You're probably the worst out of all of them. With, I think it's an aspect of the cheetah is really your only way to move around if you decide to do a melee hunter, but you still have a bow, so you can still be ranged as well. So between marksman and survival, I think that it's likely going to feel really strong. Like I want to put it on S tier, but I think if you're a solo PvPer, being able to heal yourself like a druid can, being able to reset and get away is likely going to be a really important component, is like self-sustainability. If you want to cheesy one-shot people, I think it's going to be really good and really strong. So depends what you want to do, right? If you've got a group, I think having a hunter and a warsong pre-made is going to be pretty much mandatory. It's going to be doing so much damage, especially as marksman. I'm putting it here on A tier initially. I think that it's definitely really strong, definitely going to run people over. But if you're looking for like solo experience, you know, not being able to heal, it might be rough for you. So unlike hunter though, we've got mage, and mage actually has the ability to heal in Season of Discovery, and the heals, from what I've saw from testing at the classic testing at BlizzCon, the healing is really good, and it's on different schools of magic. So you've got the most crowd control, I think, of any class at this level, with Polymorph and Frost Nova and Cone of Cold, and you have Blink. So you're one of the classes that has like some decent mobility to be able to escape from stuns, which is definitely going to compensate for things like when a warrior gets onto you and being able to just blink away, keep them Nova and keep them at a distance, although Keck W warriors. But rogues also don't have a lot of stuns at this level. I'm pretty sure you don't have cheap shot at level 25, and you don't have kidney shot. So there's not really a lot of stuns. You're mostly going to be using blink either to get out of Hammer of Justice for the most part, or just to not let anything touch you. I think that things like Fire Mage look remarkably strong. Just keeping a distance, keeping living bomb up, and healing yourself is going to absolutely destroy people. Like it's insane. It's like you're a disc priest with the ability to like AoE, and you have way more CC. Even though a lot of people are saying they're squishy, I think it's mostly hunters are going to be your main problem, especially marksmanship hunters. But aside from that, you maybe just sheep them, heal yourselves up. You've got even more reset ability than you did in the past. We saw in the dueling turn at the Makoraz, like Mage is doing remarkably well, and now with the ability to heal yourself, I'm really doubting that this spec ends up being bad. Even if it is squishy. And I think you can run cheesy builds with Arcane, Pyroblast builds with Sheep Pyroblast combos. I think Frost is also really gnarly with Icy Veins and Ice Lance for these Shatter combos. But again, balancing in those healing talents, I'm personally leaning towards like a Living Bomb Mage at this level. I think that being able to heal and have instant dots, especially in big group battles, and just keeping a distance and poking your dots up has generally been a really powerful way to PvP. So I think Mage is going to be really remarkable in that sense. Paladin, you're a plate class, you're gonna be really durable against marksmanship hunters, which are considered one of the best like overall damage outputs. While I think they're less versatile, which is why I'm giving them a little bit lower of a ranking, you're gonna be one of the best classes into something like that. You've got the best stun at this level. It's only a 4-second Hammer of Justice, but it's definitely the best stun at this level. Blessing of Freedom is gonna basically make you kind of like a great synergy. You're gonna probably want to pair yourself up with somebody if you're going down the Paladin route, especially if you're going holy. So like pairing yourself up with a rogue and giving them freedom, or even pairing yourself up with a warrior and giving them freedom. You're probably going to want to find a partner if you're going to be running into this. You could be a good standalone healer though, with runes like Beacon. I think the AoE healing could be pretty nice. Honestly, I'm not really like excited for the healing specializations, considering a lot of the DPS specs are either becoming more tanky or more healer oriented. They've really got my attention, but I could see it working out really well. Freedom for flag carriers, helping people getting across the map. Like there's no doubt like Holy is going to be decent. Ret Paladin is getting access to a lot of abilities, but the main problem is that you've got like too many good runes. It's gonna be really tough. Like Divine Storm, if they take the tuning from Divine Storm into Wrath of the Lich King, like that thing absolutely wrecked people. So if that tuning comes through, like you could just walk into a group of people and just everything gets knocked down in front of you. So I could see that being absolutely insane. Where do I want to put this? It's a really tough one to rank because it's got, healing roles and DPS roles. I think that Druid in World PvP as a solo player is probably going to be more flexible in terms of being able to sneak around and your options for play in that regard. Like even being resto and doing damage is probably going to be really fun. I'm kind of putting it, I think we have to put it on the A tier. It really depends on the tuning. If the tuning's not there and Ret does, pathetically low damage, then, it's probably C tier. And this is before the game comes out. I'm just giving you my thoughts on this, like what has been powerful in the past and what could be powerful moving forward, to try and like help you decide what is going to be a good selection for you. It's just important to note that classes at this level are missing a lot. Like you don't we're moving on to Priest. You want to play a Shadow Priest? You don't have Shadow Form. You have blackout stun though, and again, like stuns are really limited at this level. So having a Shadow Priest in a pre-made Warsong Gulch is probably insane. Just having them running around trying to blackout stun everybody is going to be really good crowd control, and you're going to have really decent damage, I think, as well. Problem for you is Shadow will be mana, but you can get penance as Shadow. So you could balance multiple schools of magic, have blackout stuns, play from range. You're really versatile in that sense. Your mobility becomes a bit of a problem compared to something like a Druid. So you're probably, looking for 1v1 situations more often than not. But I could see, getting a Shadow Priest in a Warsong pre-made being like mandatory. So if you want to make sure you've got like a pre-made slot, depending on what goes on with that, I'm assuming they're going to let you do pre-mades like they did in Original Classic. You're probably going to always want to be on a team as Shadow. But Disc was considered the best, like this level bracket healer. Back in the original version of the game. Powered Shield is just really effective healing. It's just a really strong healer. So for me, I think Priest is probably an A tier. You can see like so many classes are actually phenomenal. Like I'm gonna have to maybe remake this list after running through and like rearrange them depending on like how we're gonna break this down. But you're versatile, but mobility is lacking, I think, is where the problem is gonna come, or at least the value that I consider for the class. If you're a solo player, is a little lower, but you're gonna be mandatory in a Warsong pre-made, I would think, whether you're Shadow or your Discipline. Rogue is getting the ability, I think it's Shadow Strike, so to teleport to a target, because at this level you don't have any mobility and you don't have any stuns. So like you basically 100-0 somebody from stealth and hope you can vanish without getting dotted, and that's it. Like that's all you're going to be doing. It's honest to me, it doesn't seem as exciting as something like Fire Mage, who's dotting things, running around, and has the ability to heal. It just seems more developed and fleshed out. Or even Druid specs and their group utility. To me, like Rogue is a 100% stealth cheese one shot, and it's gonna be really strong in those scenarios, right? Like if you can one shot a Mage before they go down. But there's a lot of classes that are much more tanky in this patch. Like I don't see you one shotting a Bear or one shotting a Metamorphosis Warlock or one shotting a Paladin. So depending on what classes get selected, you might be just running around one shotting the Hunters that are one shotting the Mages that are having the most fun because they have the best kit at this level, it seems like right now. So to me, I mean, unless you want to do that play style, like in mass group, I think having a Rogue again in Warsong's probably mandatory. It's probably going to be really good to like for assassinating the enemy flag carrier. But the lack of control that you have at this bracket, like you've got Vanish, but you've got, I don't know, man. I'm making a tier list that people are probably going to disagree with, but I actually think Rogue is not going to be that great, depending on how seriously people take PvP. And it seems like a lot of people are taking Season Discovery really seriously, like even myself coming into this. Like it's going to be mandatory in Warsong, but I don't know, man. I feel like a lot of these classes, I guess if you're absolute 1v1, cooldowns completely reset, you one-shot almost every spec in the game. Like that's insane. But if you're like going fight to fight to fight to fight, you're going to notice problems. So it really depends on what you want to do, right? If you just want to win a duel and, one shot the guy and then get out, you're going to be able to do that. You move really slow in stealth, like really slow at this level. You don't got the movement speed of the Druid talents. You don't get the blink of the Mage or the freedom of the Paladin. Like, I don't know, man. I'm putting the value for Rogue a little bit lower. I think with the kits that are coming through for these other specs, they seem like they could be more powerful in these group-oriented situations, and it's really niche where you're going to feel strong with this. It depends on what you want to do. For Shaman, Enhancement Shaman, I think is a dead spec at level 25. You don't have Storm Strike, which is like your main bread and butter ability. It's just, I don't see Enhancement Shaman working out. Like maybe you could make like a Sword and Board Enhanced Shaman that's just kind of like doing this, but I think Lava Lash rune even requires an offhand, so you can't do a shield build and use Lava Lash probably. Enhanced kind of just seems like a dead spec at level 25 from what I've done so far, and not really that interesting. It'll likely unlock a lot more power later on, but you don't even have Wind Fury, and Feral Druid does. So the Feral Druid's kind of replacing you at this level. Like Enhance is just kind of like Dedge. Elemental, you've got Lava Burst, but it's going to be hard casted. You're hard casting everything, and you're more durable, right? You're probably one of the more tankier casters, with the fact that you can equip a shield. And if you build like a full shield build version of Ellie, I could see you being really tanky and just running around and being able to heal yourself. And you can get Ghost Wolf move speed, which is really nice. Now, I just think it's because you have less instants. Like Boomkin's going to have the Star Surge, Fire Mage has the Living Bomb. I think having less instants is going to put you down a little bit in terms of power, but the mobility of Ghost Wolf, the ability to heal, support, it's definitely going to be decent for Ellie. And then Resto Shaman is going to be just more of a healing emphasis. I think Ellie is going to be, the main priority. I think even if you're functioning as a healer, like you're trying to use healing waves and you're healing not really DPSing that much, you're just throwing out a lava burst every once in a while and healing, I think you'd probably do it as Ellie than actually being resto. And you're probably going to still go after the Ghost Wolf mobility, because at this level, mobility is going to be king. Being able to escape and kite is going to be super important. So it's definitely going to be strong, but I do not enhance. If I could put it enhance, it separate from Shaman class, I put it down on D. Warlock, this thing is like the best thing in the game. With Metamorphosis, you're just completely unkillable, and you get instant searing pain. You're 100% going to be playing Metamorphosis Warlock at this level. I actually can't believe that it's available to you at this level. And maybe we this is just gonna be the best class with like Metamorphosis, with Drain Life, with Searing Pain. You've got good sustainability from ranged. You've got really other fun builds, like if you've got a group of people. But I think if you're playing by yourself, you're gonna play this meta build. Other than that, you can run for Chaos Bolt and just sit back and just lob out these big Chaos Bolts. Like these are like the big heavy hitter cool spells that are generally really powerful in PvP. And getting them at level 25 is really what's intriguing me here for Warlock. I think it's gonna be an absolute monster. Now, Warrior. Now, maybe if you build the ultimate Warsong Gulch composition, where you have Wind Fury from a Feral, Freedom from a Paladin, and you've got all these buffs stacking on you, and you can actually get to your target, you're probably going to be an absolute monster. If you don't have that perfect situation, you're probably just dead on the ground. You've got Retail, which is like a 30-minute cooldown in Classic. Like, okay, you can retail and beat a rogue. It's like... I don't know, man. I think Warrior, like, aside from making the ultimate perfect group combo for you, which could maybe be really gnarly, maybe you want to do that in Warsong Gulch, but if you're playing by yourself, it's going to be an absolute, like, frustration in that sense. I think that, the range of Hunter is going to be way better overall, especially if you're going marksmanship at this current level bracket. So I'm putting a heavy prioritization on mobility and sustainability. So being able to heal yourself to some degree, Drain Life, Life Bloom, and the new channeled healing coming from Mage, which seems to be really overtuned, at least at the moment. Like this with added mobility, like Blink, shape-shifting. Warlock mobility is low, but if you're Metamorphosis, you're not too worried about the rogues and the warriors getting onto you. I feel like you're just going to tank them and just drop them with instant cast spells. You're just going to be a complete god spec. Those are kind of my thoughts. Now I'm somewhat selling myself on maybe I should make a Warlock. I kind of want to try and just do a Boomkin run and see what Boomkin can do overall in this build, but I'm really thinking like Resto Bear or something at this level for flag carrying, and even World PvP is probably going to be better. But those are my thoughts. Again, if you skipped to this point and skipped the commentary, you missed out on why I'm putting Rogue low. I think it's the lack of stuns, the fact that you're basically going to one-shot somebody and then need to go AFK and wait till you vanish again to try and find a Clothy and one-shot them. I think these other specs are going to be more like engaging in the fight, constantly able to do things and really developing momentum for their team. But I think every spec or role could be almost mandatory in like a Warsong pre-made, and building synergies around the available runes is likely going to be really cool. I'm really excited to check it out and advance these tier lists as Season of Discovery advances. So if you want to follow along with that journey, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're also doing retail updates as well. So if you're bouncing between both games, I'm looking to be as good of a resource as I can for you to be able to enhance your experience with WoW. But other than that, thank you very much for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.